Hi friends, it's Laura Milligan. Happy Monday. Thank you all for joining me. If you are watching live, give me a comment, say hi, and why don't we just for something different today, why don't you share with me right now, what is your favorite Stampin' Up stamp set? What have you been using more than anything else? I'd love to hear what your favorite one is. Mine kind of changes by the week. I think depending on what I'm using, that's kind of the favorite one or whatever. But let me know what your favorite is. And if you're watching on replay, you can leave a comment as well and let me know. But thank you all so much for joining me. I hope that you all had a great weekend. It was Father's Day weekend, and we celebrated two of the best fathers that I know. My wonderful father-in-law, who is 95 years youngish, as we say, and my husband, Rich, who is the father of our 4 girls, and he is the best dad. He is totally a girl dad. Can you imagine a dad lucky enough, blessed enough to have 4 girls? And let me tell you, my 4 girls absolutely adore him for good reason, and I actually think he's watching today, so I just wanted to say hi, Rich, and you know we all love you. You are the best. So if you are there, leave a comment. I am hoping that we don't have any technical glitches today. Cross our fingers, right? So I have 3 cards that I'm going to make for you today, and I am offering an ordering special again like I did last week. I think you liked that, and I appreciated the order, so thank you to those of you that ordered. And so I'm going to switch my camera view down and just share a couple things with you for today. Okay, so here we go. Well, first of all, I want to talk about my club, my B-Box Club. It's a new club that I introduced last week. I released last week. I do it with my friend Sherry Roth. We are combining efforts once again, and I think we love working well together. And I sent an email out about it. I've had some of you register already, and I hope that you will give it a shot. It is a subscription, and once you sign up, you will automatically get our club every month, which with all kinds of goodies. You get a swag bag of product. You get 8 different cards, 4 different ideas, 2 of each with a PDF and a video. So you can read more about that. I will post the link when I'm done here today. But thank you to those that have already subscribed. We're so excited about this new offering that we have. And I hope that many of you will think about doing it. So last week I shared, okay, there's Terry. Oh, Terry loves the daisies. Yes, I am not surprised, Terry. There's Judy. Let's see who else is on here today. Looks like Terry and Judy and Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Judy. So these were the 3 cards that I made last week featuring the Marvelous Nature stamp set. These are 3 of my favorite. These 3 cards were made with one of my favorite stamp sets in the whole catalog. It's been one of my favorites since the moment I leafed through the new catalog. It just caught my eye. I love birds. Of course, I love gardening, and I love it's almost like a reverse image. The solid part, the part that you ink, is actually like the background, and it just adds all these, I don't know, I just love it. I think it's beautiful. So those were the 3 cards I made last week, and this week I'm going to be featuring these cards made with this suite. This is called Masterfully Made, and I picked this one for this week on purpose because it features this gorgeous designer paper, which I will show you. It is called Masterfully Made. It's 12 by 12, and almost all of our designer papers are 15% off this month. And so I wanted to showcase this while it's on sale because this paper is beautiful. So the suite includes the bundle, the stamp set, and the dies, which I will show you in a minute because they're always better in person as opposed to looking at them in the catalog. The 12 by 12 designer series paper, and then the adhesive back sequin trio, which you can see right here, and I'm going to be using those today as well. The nice thing about the suite if you want the products, and they're made to coordinate, so it's really the smartest way to purchase. If you're purchasing some Stampin' Up! Products, all you have to do is write down one number, 161207. It's $70.75. You get everything you see on this page. You get the entire collection, or suite as we call it. Suite collection is what they call it. So it's the paper, the gems, and then the bundle, the stamp set and dies. So let's take a look and see what we can come up with here today. So I have kind of a simple card to start out with, and then, oh, but wait, let me show you the paper. I have cut this 6 by 6 because it's just easier to show you on camera. But let me just show you this beautiful paper, and then I'll flip it over. I'm going to use this today on one of the cards. Well, I'm using a couple of these papers. So there's the front view. And let me just flip these. So the cool thing about this looks like it was torn. And it's layers of designer paper, different patterns and textures. This looks like it was embossed with like the Fern embossing folder. This looks like Time Worn Type embossing folder. And then this paper here, because you can see that white, it's like a torn edge. It looks like it's actually torn, but it's not. It's just one solid sheet. Same idea on this one. This is Pretty Peacock. Pretty soft colors there. That one's fun. Oh, I guess I'm not showing. I'm sorry. I need to position this better so you can see it. Love that one. And then that one. This is the same. This is like Lemon Lime Twist with that torn, same idea, the torn edge. So let me slip that back in this packet here. And I'm going to start with a simple card. And I am doing my ordering special again this week as well. So if you place a $35 order between now and Friday using this host code, H99Z3MXU, it's probably hard to see, but I will post that once I'm done with this. I will add it in to the details of this video. But if you place a $35 order from my shop, my online store, using this host code, I will send you the kit to make the 3 cards that I'm going to be making for you today. If your order is $50, you can still use this host code so that I know you want the card packets, but I will also I will send you as a thank you with a $50 order. This is my thank you gift for the month, so I will include this as well in your packet, in your thank you packet. All right, so let's just start. And what I started with kind of a simpler card, and then we're going to step it up a little bit. So before I start, I promised you that I would show you the stamp set and the dies. So here they are. This is a really cool shape for words. And then we have 2 kind of spriggy, flowery things. Here's this almost looks like a torn edge of paper as well. And then this reminds me of like a stenographer's notebook. I'm going to be using that today on one of the cards. Here's a strip that I did. I just took a really narrow, like maybe a 1/2-inch strip of basic white. Let me hold that against my hand so you can see it. And just made a teeny little strip of this. And I thought that would look cute, you know, tucked under a different edge of like layered or whatever. But I thought I was just kind of experimenting with that. Okay, so our first card is kind of simple. We're going to just step it up a little bit. And so my layers for this, and all of this will be available to you in a PDF on my blog. I'm going to start with thick basic white card base. You know, that's my go-to. I use that almost on every card that I make. It is 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. My next panel is Pretty Peacock. It is 3 3/4 across by 5 inches tall. The next layer is just regular white, 3.5 by 4 3/4. And then I have this teeny little shape. This is from the Nested Essential Dies. I have used these before. Let me see, where did I put those? Here they are. These are new. I love these new dies. These are standalone dies, which means there's not a particular bundle that they go with. They're more of like a basic go-to, like if you have words or a shape or anything that you'd like to put inside a certain die with stitching around the edges, you're going to go for these. I have found that I am going to these more and more. I love this shape. I love the rounded rectangle shape, and then these little banners. And so for this card, I took the teeniest little banner shape and die cut that. And these have, I said stitching, but they actually have double stitching. I'm going to hold this up. I don't know. Let me see if I can catch it. I'm not sure if you're good. There you go. There's a good view of it. I'll get my finger out of the way. You can see the double stitching on these dies. So these two, the rectangles and the banners, have double stitching. These do not. They just have a single stitching, which is still really cool. So I have already gone ahead and cut that, and I am using for this card Pretty Peacock. And I'm going to use, this is a texture stamp. There was something very similar in my Queen Bee stamp set, and this is kind of that same idea. I love these kind of stamps. So I'm going to take my white panel, and I want this to be light because I'm going to be stamping over it. So I'm going to actually stamp off twice, and then I'm going to put this about right there, and then I'm going to stamp it again about right there like that. So that's just going to be like a very soft background. Then I'm going to take, let's see, this big stamp. It almost looks like berries or just small little leaves. And I'm going to ink this up. And this is just going to be angled. I'm kind of stamping it between those texture stamps that I just did. So there we have that. And while I have this out, I'm going to take an envelope. So I like to do something. We don't want any just plain boring envelopes when we send things in the mail. So I'm going to just take this and stamp it right in the corner there. And I am pretty sure there's still some ink on this. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of fill that in. And it's really soft and very subtle, but it makes it look pretty. It kind of gives it some depth. So that's going to be my envelope. Okay. And then the only other thing I need to stamp is my little banner, and I'm going to be using the teeny little hello. I'm going to stamp that. And you know I like to mount my stamps at an angle. Oh, I kind of caught the edge of that, but it's okay. I'm going to keep going. We'll just pretend like that's not there, right? Okay, so now I'm going to put this card together. So I have my thick white. I've already scored it, but I still like to run my bone fold across that to get a real nice crisp fold. Now we're going to just start adding the different layers. So I'm going to start with Pretty Peacock. Don't you love that color? Hi, Shar. Thanks for watching and joining in today. So I'm going to add my glue to this. And the next panel is going to be this. This is kind of a quick, easy, it's a little bit simpler card, which I like. Because I think you could do quick cards and still make them look really nice. Okay, I'm going to give that a second to adhere. And then I have a small piece of the designer paper. This is 1/2 inch by 3.5 inches. So that's going to just be going right across my little sprig that I stamped. You know, I was just thinking, normally when I do this, I share cards that I receive in the mail. I don't think I received any cards this week. So I don't have anything to share with you. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so we have that. And then I just took, so I'm going to add this just pretend like that little boo-boo isn't there. I'm going to get some dimensionals. Probably for this, it's a small enough piece, I could probably just do one on the back. Excuse me. Put that just right about there. Like that. This is a pretty clean and simple, like I said. And then I wanted to do a pop of color. And I pulled from the flowers on this and tried a couple different things. And I ended up really liking, this is the Sweet Sorbet. It's 1/8 inch metallic ribbon. And I thought it would give it a little bit of a sparkle. A little bit of a shine, I guess. So I'm going to make kind of a big bow. Hold on, I got to take a sip of my water here. I have a tickle in my throat. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to take my scissors. You know, I always talk about my new paper snips. Look how easy they cut. Okay, I'm going to put that. And this I'm just going to tuck right under there, and I probably don't want the bow, the tail of the bow to be quite that long. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller, even up the loops. Okay, so let me can't get that even. There we go. Okay. This ribbon came out last year. It was last year's in colors, and they carried it over, and I like it because it's so narrow. It's easy to tie a bow with, and sometimes you just want a smaller little bow. And like I said, I like the sparkle, the color. So I'm going to just tuck this right under those words. Just like that. So it's just a little bit of a sparkle, a little bit of a bow. And then to finish this, I'm just going to bring in my gems. These are Adhesive Back Sequin Trio. So there's 3 different colors, which is why they call it Trio. And I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool. Yeah, Charlie's barking. Charlie is funny. He's so quiet most of the time. And then it's like kind of like a toddler, right? That when they know their mom's busy, they start getting into trouble, and that's Charlie. So I'm going to put 3 of these gems here. So it's super simple card. And then on the inside, I do have one other piece of this designer paper that I had just kind of left over. And hi Debbie, it's okay, you can watch the replay, or I'm just getting started. I have 2 more cards to make, so maybe you'll want to stay on. But so this is just cut, it's like 1/2 inch by 4 1/4, so it's the whole width of the inside of the card. And what you could do, what I think I might do, is take this sprig again, and I think I'm just going to stamp it in the corner. About like that. And then I'll put this, well, that's covering most of it up. So you know what? I think what I'm going to do is put this up here. Yeah, I think I like that better. So I'm going to put that there. Thank you to all of you that are just joining in, and thanks for watching. Okay, so I'm going to put that there across the top. And then, you know, I always like to add a little bit of sparkle on the inside. And since I used the pink sequins on the front, I'm just going to put one little sequin. Just going to slide this on. Let's see. You know, I think I'm just going to put it right there. Just like that. I think it's fun to add a little bit of sparkle on the inside. People are probably not expecting that. I mean, I could do a couple more, but I think that's just fun. So there is card number 1. With our matching envelope. Very simple, easy to duplicate. You could make a lot of these cards really fast. I think it's really pretty. I love the combination of this ribbon with the pretty peacock. This is Sweet Sorbet ribbon. I'm not sure if I said that, but okay, so there's card number 1. Okay, there's card number 1. Card number 2 is a little bit more involved. So let me pull that in, that little kit. And I always cut, I like to die cut I like to do the die cutting before I go live. I'm assuming that most of you, all of you, know how to use a die cutting machine. If you don't, let me know, because I am happy to show you that as well. But it just saves a little time, kind of streamlines things. Okay, so this, for this card, look how pretty this paper is. And again, it looks like it's been torn, and I'm going to use this just as the background, and then I'm going to add some more things to it. I have my thick basic white base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, and then I used the dies to cut this sprig. This is with our new bubble bath color. Love that one. This is that spiral notebook die that I was talking about. Let me bring the dies over here so I can show you. So all I did for this was I took a piece of white. It was, let me check the measurements, 2 3/4 by 3 3/8, and I just took this die and put it on the edge of the paper like that, and just ran it through my die cutting machine, and it comes out looking like that. So it's like a little spiral notebook or journal, which I think is really cool. And then this shape was die cut with this. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for watching. So we have those two, and then I'm going to set that aside. All right, so let's put this together. So I am going to use, again, the texture. Oh, and now Charlie has his squeaky toy, so you can probably, if you hear squeaking in the background, that's him. So I'm stamping off for this, and I'm just going to go ahead, stamp once, stamp off, stamp again, and then I'm just going to kind of softly fill this in a little bit, just like that. So it's kind of just a collagey texture panel. I have this little piece. These are cut from the Stylish Shape dies. I'm thinking, yeah, I don't think this would fit on that Nested Essentials die that I just used. I think the thank you that I'm going to use is a little bit too long. Yeah, I don't think that would fit, but you could probably do a different size. So I'm just going to do thank you. And let me see if I can get this in here okay. Okay, that looks good. And I thought what might be pretty on this one, I do have an envelope here, and I thought, I'm not using bubble bath ink on this card, but I thought this was so pretty, and I thought that maybe just for fun, I would use, let's see, let me bring in the stamp set and show you this, just to stamp on the envelope. This is, Terry, the color for this is still Pretty Peacock. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I thought it'd be fun to try. I didn't practice this, but let's see what happens. Thought it'd be pretty to maybe put some a bubble bath sprig on the front to kind of coordinate with. Oh yeah, oh, isn't that pretty? I love that. Really pretty. And then of course what you could do is take this texture stamp again. You see how I love these texture stamps? So you could stamp that around it, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see that, but it's just, again, a soft, subtle addition of color. I love Pretty Peacock. That was one that they had retired a few years ago, and then they brought back. So isn't that pretty? I love that stamp. I think that's so pretty. All right, so let's just put this together. So I'm going to add, look at the back of that. Wow. That is bright, isn't it? Okay. So let's put that on here, just like that. I love the detail of this. I love that you can see that texture, the words, they've kind of carried that into the designer paper from the stamp set. Okay, so we have that. Then I'm going to take my little, I'll call it my little mini spiral notebook. I'm going to put that on here at an angle, and I'm going to pop that up with some dimensionals. I think what really makes this stamp set is the designer paper. It's just beautiful. So I got a late start this morning. My daughter Faith came home for the weekend, and she did leave at about, I would say probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock. So I was just enjoying her being here, and then it's like, okay, I got to get ready, get this day going. So now I'm going to take this piece, the Bubble Bath Sprig that I die cut, and that's going to go right on there. And I'm just going to use my glue and just dab. I'm going to find some of the bigger spaces. I'm just going to do it like that. And you know, when I do these kind of things, I never glue the whole thing down. I just find a couple big spots because I like some of this to be able to, I don't know, just not be flat. I like it to have a little bit of dimension. Okay, then I'm going to take some ribbon. I have this packet. This is Sheer Ribbon Combo Pack. It's so pretty. And I'm going to use the Bubble Bath color. But there's Azure Afternoon and Lemon. I think that's Lemon Lolly. Does it say on here? I think that's Lemon Lolly. But I'm going to take the Bubble Bath. And I'm just going to cut a little strip. I'm going to fold it in half. And I'm just going to tuck this under the word panel. For Nancy, the die set that I use, this is the Gorgeously Made bundle. Whoops. So it coordinates with the Gorgeously Made stamp set. And now Stampin' Up! Did a really great thing. We used to have different names for the stamp set and the dies, but now they're both called the same thing, so it makes it a lot easier. So this is the Gorgeously Made bundle from the it's called Masterfully Made Suite, but this is the Gorgeously Made bundle. All right, so I'm going to just take this. Isn't this pretty? I just love these colors. I just think they're so pretty. So I'm going to fold this in half. This is going to be tucked under my words like that. So what I'm going to do is put a glue dot on there. Find my glue dots. There's one. And I'm just going to put that there like that. And then I'm going to pop this up. So I'm going to put a dimensional on the back, and that's going to help hold. Oh, I got two. Well, I'll use two then. That's going to help hold that ribbon in place. That's going to just go right. So this is angled, but I want my words to be straight. I'm just going to put them about right there. Like that. And I'm just going to trim this up a little bit. And you know what I need to do? I'm going to pick up a glue dot here just with my fingers and tuck it under this one end because I didn't get anything down there. See if that helps it hold a little bit. It's kind of, there we go. A little bit wonky. There we go. I just didn't press it down. Okay, there we go. So that's good. And then of course I want to add some gems, some bling. I'm going to take my, just get that a nice little crease there. I'm going to add some gems. So let me bring those in again. I think this is it's just so soft and pretty. Okay, and I'm just going to add a couple gems. I'm going to use the Pretty Peacock. I keep wanting to call it Pretty in Pink, but it's Pretty Peacock. We used to have a Pretty in Pink color. That's been quite a while ago. And then I'm going to take a pink. I think I'll put that maybe right there. And then I think I'll put one more pink down there like that. So there's the front of my card. So pretty. And I could, since I like that big pink stamp so much with the Bubble Bath, I'm going to put it on the inside as well. put it there like that. Okay. And then I had these, when I add these to the inside of my card, they're just scraps that I have left over from cutting the designer paper. So I think I'm going to put that right there. I could, of course, do one along the bottom, but I thought that would be pretty. And, you know, depending on how much of a note you want to write, sometimes you don't want this whole big space to have to write something. Sometimes it's easier to just make it small. Maybe you just want to write a real short note. And so this kind of helps fill up some of the space. Plus, I just think it looks pretty. Okay. And then I think I'm going to add a pretty peacock gem. You know what I'm going to do? Okay, hold on a second. So I have, this says, you're a great friend. I'm going to stamp this in Berry Burst. I'm going to put that about right there, like that. And I'm going to add one of my gems right by the words. Just there like that. That's another way to add just some sparkly fun to the inside of your card. Okay, so there is my second card. And again, don't forget, if you place a $35 order using this host code by Friday, you will get the kits to make these cards. Now, we can't include any stamped images. That, of course, is a policy of Stampin' Up. And I am a rule follower, so but you will get the die, you know, the die shapes and that sort of thing. And of course, all the cardstock and designer paper. So there's card number 2. All right, card number 3 is a fun fold. Let me close these up. This one really just showcases the designer paper. Close up my bubble bath, close up my pretty, see, I keep calling it pretty and pink, pretty peacock. I don't know why. Anyway, okay, so this one is going to showcase the beautiful designer paper. So let me bring this in. All right, so I have, for this card, I've got my little measurements here. So I started with a piece of this designer paper. Now remember, this is 12 by 12, but this was a 6 by 6 that I had left over from something else. And I took that and cut it, let me think a minute. Okay, you know what, I'm going to measure it because I don't remember. Let me find my trimmer. I believe it is, okay, so it's 4 by 5.5. 4 by 5.5. Look how pretty. I love this paper. This is probably my favorite paper in this whole thing. And then look at the background. So we used to make, I mean, I've made these. I don't know that I've made them for a while, but we used to do these cards because we would talk about how sometimes it's hard to choose which side of the designer paper you want to use. So it would be hard to cover this beautiful patterned paper up, right? Like if you, and then this one is one of those torn edges, which is also really pretty. You hate to think about gluing this down and losing this beautiful thing. So this is a kind of card that will showcase both sides of the paper. And I've made these before. I actually demonstrated this card idea one time. I was demonstrating in, I believe it was Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We had an event there and I was one of the presenters and I showed how to do this card, but the card opened like our standard card from right to left. This one today, I thought it'd be fun to do one opening up this way. So my card base, this is Lost Lagoon cardstock, and I've cut this 4 1/4 by 6. And then I took my scoring tool, my scoring blade on my paper trimmer and scored it at 1/2 inch. So it's going to end up looking like this. So this is my card base. So before I do anything else, I am going to bring in my pretty peacock. Ink, and I'm going to turn this, and I'm just going to add a little texture on my little flap. I thought about it. I didn't know if I needed to do this or not, And I'm going to stamp off twice, and then I'm just going to put this across that front little panel just to add a little bit of texture and interest to that little panel. Okay, so we have that. Then I'm going to take this piece, and again, it's 4 by 5.5. And what I'm going to do is take this, and I'm going to put glue just across the top of my designer paper. You can see it's not as wide as the card base. So I want to be sure to just put the glue across the designer paper, because if I would put it across here, I might forget and put glue the whole way across, and then it would stick and I wouldn't be able to open it. So I'm just going to put the glue, just a thin bead all across this designer paper. And I'm just going to center this as best I can from left to right. I just want a little bit of that Lost Lagoon showing on both sides. And I'm going to let this, I'm going to give this a press to make sure it will stick. Okay, I'll press it from this side too. Okay, so then I'm going to take, for the inside, I am going to take a panel of Berry Burst, and then my white panel. So I'm going to go ahead and just adhere those. So I wanted to make this so that a little bit of the Berry Burst shows. This is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I just wanted a little bit of this to show when the card is closed and you're looking at it from the front. So I'm going to just center this on this panel. And then I'm going to put this here, and I'm thinking now, yeah, I'm just gonna leave this one plain on the inside. I'm not sure. I could add one of those sprigs, but I think this one I'm just gonna leave plain. So I'm just centering this. This is 3 3/4 by 5. That's the inside. So you can see when I close this, you can barely see it, but you can see a hint of that Berry Burst. And then when you open it up, you not only see the inside of the card, but you see this pretty paper. And I think it's a fun way to showcase. We all know our paper is so beautiful, and you know, why cover it up? I think this is a fun card. You of course could also do it this way, depending on the design on your paper. You could do it that way, and like I said, I've done it before opening up this way. So now let's just dress this up a little bit on the front. I kept this pretty simple. All I did was I took a piece of this designer paper. This is some, it has like those textures, like real soft words on it. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it, but I'm just gonna stamp some words on this, and I thought I would use "You're a Great Friend." And I'm gonna put this just right there, like that. You're a great friend. I'm going to take my paper snips and just angle this end like that. And then I think I can just snip this like that. And again, this is just a little scrap. If you have, save these little pieces, because it's perfect for a word or just adding some interest somewhere. The inside of the card, I could put this here. Like, it's not really big enough. It doesn't go all the way across, but I think that looks really pretty, don't you? I think that's so pretty. In fact, I think I'm going to put that in there. I like that. Actually, could have put this side as well. That would be pretty, a real pop. Okay, so let's put that there. Just like that. Okay, and then I think I'm done stamping. Okay, so then what I did was I took this die. Yeah, it's so easy. You're right, Debbie. This is so easy to put together. So I took this die, and we have some new vellum in our annual catalog, and it is called Vellum Essentials. Let me find that. I pulled that out. Here it is. So it's different patterns of vellum. So there's polka dot, which is the one that I used. there's like a leaf pattern and then a diagonal stripe, which I think is so pretty. And the patterns on it are very subtle. And I thought about just using regular vellum to die cut this shape, but you can actually see the polka dots. And again, it's a way to add some texture. And so this is going to go right up here. I just want a little bit of that up here. I'm going to just snip this right there. And I'm going to snip that off. Let's see, so that I just thought I'd put that down there like that just to soften and add some interest. And so that I'm just going to tack on there with, I think a little bit of glue will be fine. I could use a glue dot, but I'm just going to put little dabs of glue on the back of that. Okay. We'll let that sit there for a minute. And then I'm going to take some ribbon, and this is another new pack of ribbon. I decided I wanted to pull from this lemon lime twist color, and so this packet of ribbon, it's a duo pack, and it includes the striped bubble bath, and then this little, it's like a stitching on the lemon lime twist. So what I thought I would do, make a bow. I'm sorry, I'm off the camera. I just kind of fidget with a little bit. I love to, as you know, I love to pull the loops of the bow down. I love that look. So that's what I'm going to do, I think, for this one. And I'm going to use a glue dot. Just pick that up there. And see if I can pull these loops down, and that's just going to rest right there, and I'm just going to give it a good push like that. I'm going to turn it a little bit. Okay, there we go. And I thought this was pretty. I pulled some different ribbons that we had. I tried some different things, and I liked how this pulled from the color of the stem. And then all I'm going to do is just put these words right over that, and I'm going to do that with the dimensional. What would we ever do without dimensionals, right? Okay, and then I think down here, actually what I'm going to do is put another dimensional close to that. I'm not going to put anything here, but what I will do, well, so Terry says you make it so easy to want it all. Well, the nice thing, and you know, one of the things that I love about Stampin' Up is that everything coordinates. So it's okay to want it all, right? Because we all want it to coordinate and look really pretty. I'm just going to put a glue dot on the top of that bow because it's going to be this part of the words are going to be popped up enough. So I'm going to just do that right like that, and that's going to hold in place. Then I need to just kind of fidget with my bow, my ribbon a little bit. Like that. Okay. So there is my third card. Oh, and I've got to add some gems. I almost forgot. That's the finishing touch, right? So I'm going to bring these in again. I love these sequins. I didn't use the white ones on anything today, but I actually really love them. They're just soft and pretty. Let me get some of this out of the way a little bit here. Clean up some of my scraps. Okay. So I think I'm going to do some of the pink and some of the pretty peacock. Put some there. Yeah, Mary Jo says I need a money tree. And so I'm going to put these 3 here, and then I think up here I'll put 2. Just like that. Okay. So there's that card. This card is so easy to do and it's just fun. And I think, so many times we do the same card. I do the same thing. It's a traditional from the right opens to the left. And I think this is just fun. It's fun to kind of switch it up a little bit. So that is my third card. Let me bring the other ones in. Let me know which your favorite one is. I mean, I think they're all my favorite. Can I say that? No. But I think, it depends on it. I think for one thing, it shows the versatility of this bundle and how you can get 3 totally different cards from using the same bundle, even the same designer paper. We just switched up the ink and, the layouts and things. But so this is what I'm offering this week with an ordering special, $35 online order. With this host code, we'll give you the kits for these 3 cards. I will mail them out to you. It'll probably be the following Monday. I'm hoping to mail, well, there's no mail today, but tomorrow, those that ordered last week will get their kits will go in the mail tomorrow. So hope you enjoyed this, and let me just switch up again. I love reading your comments. I read every single one, and I do appreciate so much you watching. I hope you have a great week, and if you have questions about my new B-Box Club, I would be happy to answer them. We had a couple glitches over the weekend with some of the technical things, but we are working on that. And if you have a problem, please let me know. It's new, and technology is not always my friend, right? But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will be back next week. Not sure what I'll be doing at this point, but as always, I hope you have time to be creative today. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.